Welcome back to BeRelevant. Look, we are all about taking powerful ideas and actually using them to evolve into better, more productive people. So today, we're unpacking Eckhart Tolle's massive bestseller, The Power of Now. We are going to break down the core concepts, sure, but more importantly, we're going to talk about exactly how you can apply these steps in your daily, chaotic life. And because we always want the full picture, we're also going to look at some of the rigorous psychological critiques this book has sparked. Okay, let's get right into it.
So Tolle builds his whole framework on one really bold idea. Compulsive thinking has become a collective disease. He essentially diagnoses all of humanity with a severe affliction, saying we don't actually use our minds consciously anymore. No, our minds use and control us. Think about the last time you faced a high-pressure life event, like a crazy deadline at work or a family emergency. Your mind probably spun totally out of control, right? Tolle argues this inability to just stop thinking is literally an addiction. And we only think it's normal because, well, everyone else is doing it too.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, the disease of compulsive thinking, followed by the illusion of psychological time. Then we'll hit accessing the unmanifested now and the practice of surrender. Finally, we'll wrap up with critiques and spiritual bypassing. Starting off with Section 1, the disease of compulsive thinking. Tolle's starting point is that almost all of us suffer from this intense mind identification. Because we're constantly lost in thought, we create the ego. Now, in this context, the ego isn't just about being arrogant. It's a false, phantom self. It's an identity we piece together from external stuff. You know, your job title, your social status, past mistakes, your possessions. And because it's completely fake, it's incredibly fragile. It constantly needs to be defended. When you're in a high-pressure situation, your ego absolutely freaks out because it feels like its very existence is under threat. It puts up this thick wall of labels and judgments that blocks you from seeing what's actually happening.
And right alongside that ego is what Tolle calls the pain body. Think of this as the ego's dark shadow. It's basically a lingering energy field made up of your old emotional pain, and get this, it actively wants you to suffer so it can survive. Have you even noticed that weird feeling where a part of you actually wants to stay angry or wants to pick a fight? Yeah, that's the pain body talking. It literally feeds on negativity and your resistance to the present moment.
Which brings us to Section 2, the illusion of psychological time. To keep you trapped, the ego relies on a completely fabricated concept of time.
We have to make a super important distinction here between clock time and psychological time. Clock time is totally fine and necessary. It's practical. It's how you schedule meetings, plan your workday, or learn a practical lesson from a mistake. But psychological time? That is the trap. That's when you obsess over the past to figure out who you are, like holding on to old grudges. Or you constantly project into the future, hoping tomorrow will finally bring you happiness or relief. Most of our stress and anxiety comes from living in that psychological future and ignoring right now.
So the ultimate takeaway here is that the present moment is literally all you ever have. Seriously, nothing ever happened in the past, it happened in the now. And nothing will ever happen in the future, it's going to happen in the now. Suffering requires time to survive. If you strip away your past baggage and your future worries and just focus purely on the immediate present, all those problems, which are really just mind stuff anyway, just evaporate.
Okay, but how do we actually do this in the real world? Let's move to Section 3, accessing the unmanifested now.
Tolle calls this state of presence the unmanifested. Now, don't let that word sound too out there or mystical. It is highly practical. It just refers to a direct experience of stillness and pure presence that is always sitting right underneath your chaotic thoughts. It's the silent background that allows noise to exist. It's your pure consciousness.
So let's talk actionable steps. How do you apply this during a stressful situation? First, practice watching the mind. Become the silent witness to that voice in your head, but don't judge it. Just notice it. Second, and this is a game changer, use conscious breathing to stop compulsive thinking immediately. If you're spiraling, just stop. Take a deep conscious breath and feel the physical aliveness inside your hands or your chest. Doing this instantly pulls energy away from your racing mind. And third, anchor yourself in silence. Notice the quiet pause between sounds. You're creating what Tolle calls a gap of no mind.
You can easily build this into a simple morning routine to help you sustain presence throughout the entire workday. Before you even touch your phone in the morning, take 5 minutes to just direct your attention into the now. Feel your inner body. Create that gap in the mind stream. Reclaiming your consciousness from your thoughts first thing in the morning sets you up to attain a true self-consciousness of being. That way, when the high-pressure events inevitably hit later, you're grounded, not panicking.
And that flows perfectly into Section 4, the practice of surrender. Getting into the now requires a massive shift in how we handle reality.
A lot of people hear the word surrender and think it means giving up or being weak. Not at all. As Tolle puts it, surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. It is unconditional acceptance of the present moment. You drop the internal resistance, you say yes to what is happening, which completely cuts off the emotional food supply to your pain body.
Practically speaking, what do you do when dealing with a super difficult coworker or an impossible project? Tolle gives you exactly 3 options. 1. Remove yourself from the situation. 2. Change the situation. Or 3. Accept the situation totally. Notice that complaining is not an option. If you can't leave and you can't fix it, you have to accept it totally. Try viewing challenging people as incredible opportunities for practicing your own inner stillness. By taking one of these 3 paths without complaining, you bring pure presence into the situation.
All right, let's switch gears and look at the other side of the coin in Section 5, critiques and spiritual bypassing. Because as incredibly popular as this framework is, psychologists and philosophers have raised some very valid points that we need to look at objectively.
What's really fascinating is that academic evaluations actually confirm that Tolle's exercises do physical things to your body. Watching the thinker objectively lowers your nervous system arousal. Doing an inner body scan grounds your cognitive energy. Acoustic anchoring literally slows down your breathing. So the techniques absolutely alter the nervous system. The critique isn't about whether they work to stop thought, they do. The critique is about whether stopping thought is actually always the healthy choice. A lot of experts point out that calling continuous thought a disease kind of ignores our evolutionary biology. Our brains have a default mode network that is designed to process information, help us navigate complex social circles, and basically keep us alive. Plus, philosophers argue that human identity relies on integrating our past and our future. We need complex cognitive thought to set goals, to handle our responsibilities, and to make ethical judgments about what's right and wrong. Critics argue that if we completely eliminate judgment, we lose a core part of our humanity.
And from the trauma therapy world, like practitioners of internal family systems, there's a real concern about the instruction to simply stop thinking. What Tolle might call absolute peace and spiritual stillness, a trauma therapist might look at and call a functional freeze. That's a state of dissociation where an overwhelmed nervous system just shuts down completely. The danger is that someone might mistake a dysregulated, disconnected nervous system for a state of high spiritual enlightenment.
And that leads right into the concept of spiritual bypassing. If we take all of our wounded, traumatized inner parts, label them as a toxic pain body, and just ignore them by focusing on the now, critics warn we might be practicing self-abandonment. Instead of doing the really hard work of actually healing past traumas and fixing our relationships, we could just be using the now as an escape hatch to bypass genuine psychological healing.
So we have to weigh these 2 realities. Is the now a path to true liberation, or is it a clever psychological escape from reality? On one hand, present moment awareness gives you undeniable calm, stops anxiety in its tracks, and grounds you. On the other, we are complex, time-bound humans who need to integrate our past and plan our futures. I want to know where you stand on this. Please drop a comment down below and tell us, which principle are you going to apply in your life starting from now? Are you going to try the conscious breathing or view challenging people as a chance to practice inner stillness? If you found value in this video, please hit that like button and share it with anyone who loves learning these kinds of life-evolving principles. And don't forget to subscribe to the BeRelevant channel to get more content designed to help you evolve and grow. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end, and I'll catch you in the next one.